This video is sponsored by Train World, America's discount model train store since 1968. Hey everybody, it's Jimmy from the DIY and Digital, and welcome to my 100th episode. Welcome back everybody. First of all, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you are eligible for the 10,000 subscriber giveaway sponsored by Train World. Those guys have been amazing in giving me some products to give away to you guys. If you want to check out those products, you can check out the entry video in the description below as well as right up here. And speaking of Train World, those guys are located in the New York City metro area, and we all know what's going on right up there, so keep them in your thoughts and prayers. We're thinking about you guys up there at Train World. So this is my 100th episode, what I consider episodes, which are my Monday videos. I know I have a lot more than 100 videos, but this is my 100th official episode, and I really just kind of wanted to have a sit down and talk to you guys. Nothing's really changing too much. I'm not going away or anything, but I like feeling that we're a community, and I like really just talking with you guys. Because we're all model railroaders, we all do this hobby, and right now I think we all need someone that just to talk with them, and because a lot of us are having to social distance and be isolated and everything. So I wanted to take the 100th episode as an opportunity to discuss the YouTube channel, to discuss where it's going, some of my pitfalls, some of my favorite things that have happened, and taking a couple of your questions as well. So let's go ahead. I've actually got a list, so you're going to see me looking down. I've got my whole list right here. And let's talk about getting here. So I had the idea for the channel back in, I'd say November of 2017. I've been in professional video for 10 years in May, which still blows my mind. And I've been doing videos for even longer than that. But I had the idea for the channel, and I just needed to figure out what I was going to do. And then simultaneously, I just moved into a new house, and I was actually switching from HO to N scale to get more space because I like a lot of scenery with my layouts. And what I decided to do was I discovered DCC++, and that really got me turned on to Arduinos and seeing what they could do. So I bought a starter kit, and I started playing around with them. And I really like operations. I'm a subscriber to MRVP and Model Railroader magazine, and I really like operations. I like watching a realistic layout run and operate. I love watching guys like Tony Custer and all those guys show off their big layouts. I love the big layout tours that MRVP does, and that's really fascinating when you can blend realistic operations with a really artistically well done layout. I think that is the absolute perfection of model railroading. But that being said, I needed to get the channel started, and I'm nowhere near as good as some of those guys. So I wanted to come up with an operating scheme that I could share and would make things a lot easier for guys. So I came up with the Google Sheet tutorial. Hey everybody, it's Jimmy from the DIY and Digital Railroad, and today I am starting up a two-parter to show you guys how I set up my operating sessions. Really kind of got the channel going, and then I did a demonstration of it, and I was rolling along a little bit, and then I got the Arduino tutorials going. The first one I did was the block signal, the original block signal, and that's the one that really got me going, and I was able to do a 100 subscriber contest, and luckily Vinny, aka BNSF6951, took notice of me and put me on one of his live streams, and that shot me up over 100 subscribers in one night. And I am always going to be eternally grateful to Vinny. If you are not a subscriber to him, I highly recommend you subscribe to him. He does live streams every Friday night, nearly every Friday night, and he's a very, very good and very talented scratch builder. So, and he's just a lot of fun to watch, and he just does everything right. So BNSF6951. Check him out on YouTube. But after that, it was a journey to 500 subscribers, then 1,000 subscribers, then 5,000 subscribers, and now I'm on my way to 10,000 subscribers. At the time of making this video, I'm a little over 8,000 subscribers. So that's what it's been like getting here. It's been a wild ride. I did not expect to be closing in on 10,000 subscribers with 2 years in. I expected to be maybe at 5,000 subscribers, optimistic. So I have to thank you guys so much for your support. It's been absolutely amazing. And I've learned so much. But now I want to talk about my top five favorite things that I've done on the channel. Some of them are individual tutorials, some of them are other things. My top five, number 5 is the dollar store model railroad finds. I'm taking a break from those right now because I think I've overtaxed a dollar store in finding things. But those were honestly, and I've said this before, they were made as filler videos between the big tutorials, because the big tutorials they're a bit of a bear to produce for those of you guys that do these tutorials. So I needed something to keep the weekly content going that was relevant, that you guys would like, that fits with the channel, but that would be super easy to produce, and I could produce 4 or 5 of them at the same time. What I didn't expect was how much you guys would like them. Some of my top rated videos are dollar store model railroad finds, and I'm going to get back into budget buys here soon, but that was probably my favorite thing just because I didn't expect it to blow up the way it did. Number 4 is the Amtrak special that I did where I rode on. This is not just a favorite thing I've done on the channel. This is a favorite thing that I've done in my life. Train travel isn't as prevalent as it used to be. That's why a lot of us like to model the 40s and 50s, the 30s, 40s, 50s, the golden age of railroading. But I did check off a bucket list item on this channel where I rode an overnight train. Specifically, I rode the California Zephyr from Denver, Colorado to Reno, Nevada. Spent 25 hours on the train, slept in a Superliner roomette, and I can honestly say it was one of the coolest experiences of my life. I went out there to visit one of my friends who lives out in California, and it just was such a cool experience. I mean, I've flown plenty of times. I've driven all sorts of places, driven beautiful places, but taking a train through the Moffat Tunnel up through so many famous places that you only see about and you see people model, but you never actually see them. It was just an amazing experience. And I'll tell you what really was cool was I was still kind of on East Coast time when the sunrise came up for the train. We were in the desert in Nevada, and I got to sit there and eat breakfast watching the sun come up before everyone else woke up on the train. It was just so cool. The best way I can explain it is that if an airline is like a bus in the sky, a train is like a hotel on wheels. It's an amazing experience, and if you can, I highly recommend taking a long-haul train. So, my number 3 is the original Arduino block signal. That one is still one of my highest rated videos, if not my highest. It goes back and forth between that and when I showed how to set up DCC++. That one was one that was what got me beyond using it just as a DCC base station in terms of Arduinos. That's the one that got me going in building Arduinos. So that's my number 3. Number 2, this one's going to be a little bit of a shock. It's actually the Arduino reversing loop. And the reason is that, and you guys haven't seen this, but it was a lot of work to figure out the Arduino reversing loop. I had to be able to control a turnout, reverse the polarity, and make sure that I didn't derail the train when I controlled the turnout. And it was a lot of work to get it right. I mean, that was probably the most research I've done on a project, simply because I'm doing like real electrical work with it, with polarity and figuring out how to do that. That took probably about 6 months worth of research to really get it down and get to where it worked consistently. I probably did 20 different Arduino sketches just trying to get it right. So that's my number 2. And this is probably, for those of you who follow the channel, this is probably not going to come as much of a surprise. But my number 1 is the multi-block signal system. That was, if the Arduino reversing loop was 6 months of research, it took me a good year to get the Arduino multi-block signal system up and running. And I'm still going to tweak it, and I'm still going to come back and have a better version of it. But that thing took me, I remember starting on it in, when did I start on that thing? I started on that thing in July of 2018, just really trying to figure it out. And I think I had just done the original block signal tutorial. And I didn't get it out to you guys until summer of 2019. I mean, I think it was August of 2019. I can't remember exactly, but that was the most that I've worked on a tutorial. I did paper diagrams. I did taking notes, figuring out how to send the signals back and forth in an easy way for you guys. I tried all sorts of different systems, more technical systems, a lot of things that people probably think were easier, such as like serial communication and stuff like that. But that was an accomplishment. That was a really hard one to figure out, to get it working exactly right. So those are my top 5 favorite things that I've done on the channel. And yeah. So now I'm going to talk about some of the tough things that I've learned on YouTube and some of the pitfalls that you're going to run into as you grow a channel, at least for me. This is going to be definitely specific to the model railroading community, which is a great community overall, I think, compared to a lot of other niche communities, which can be very toxic and just mean. Model railroading is one of the friendliest, nicest, most cooperative communities that there is. But in terms of YouTube, some of the things I've learned that I want to pass on with this is that you got to make your videos watchable. And I'm not saying you got to have amazing production value and everything. I don't have amazing production value compared to the stuff that I do professionally at my day job. I'm really just trying to be consistent and get content out to you guys. Make sure it doesn't look terrible, but just making sure that I do that and make sure that it looks consistent. But just make your videos watchable, no crazy handheld or anything like that. Just, take your time and think through your shots. That's one of the biggest things I've learned. Is if your videos are watchable and you've got solid content, people are going to watch. Just stick with it too. It takes a while to really get going. And it's not going to be, you'll probably get a lucky break where you'll get these little bursts of more views and everything, and then it's going to trickle off. It ebbs and flows, but just stick with it, stick with the consistency. And back with that consistency and sticking with it, have a schedule. You guys know that I put videos out every Monday, and I've started back on my Thursday videos. Just have something that people can expect to be out on certain days. If you can do once a month, that's fine. If you can do once a week, that's fine. If you can do once a day, that's fine. I don't recommend once a day unless this is your full-time job, but having a schedule that you stick with so people know when to watch your videos, that's one big thing. And I've also said this already before, make something consistent. And when I'm talking about consistency, I really mean have the same branding. If you're going to have an introduction, do that. Shorter the intro, the better. I've actually been considering shortening my intro even more. And just have the consistent look. Consider making a logo. It doesn't have to be fantastic. Not everybody's a graphic designer. I'm not a graphic designer. I just know where to find some certain things that help you out along the way. And sponsorships, honestly, I've had 2 full-blown sponsorships on this channel. And that was the 5,000 subscriber contest and now the 10,000 subscriber contest. And people probably wonder what you need to have to do that. Is there some magic place where you can just put your channel in? There's not. You have to build something that people are watching so that people can respect and look at it. I use a website called Social Blade whenever I send out a sponsorship opportunity. I say, here's my Social Blade page. It's totally free to look at your channel. It gives all your statistics of your channel to them so they can look at it. But I just send them emails and see if they want to be interested. And I'm not going to dive into what I offer for channels, but I do make it enticing. I've worked a lot in advertising, and I know that it's not necessarily like, give me money and see what you do. It's a partnership. So just remember that if you're looking for sponsorships. So that's pretty much my tips for YouTube, specifically for model railroading. But now I want to talk about some of the pitfalls. YouTube's tough. It's a tough place, like, to produce. Like, you can put your heart and soul into a video and nobody will watch it. And you can't get discouraged. You got to realize that you're doing this for fun. And don't bite off more than you can chew, but slowly build. But YouTube is just a tough place. You're kind of putting yourself out there. For the first few videos, I wasn't going to put my face out there. And then I realized that people needed to see my face to make a connection so that they can share with my joy when something works. When I'm running my railroad, they can share it as well. They can share the experience as well. But YouTube's a tough place, and you got to put yourself out there a little bit. Now, doing that is going to expose you to my next pitfall, which is there is a lot of negativity on YouTube. We are lucky in model railroading that we have a generally positive community. The people that are it's not like a sport or something that's competitive. When someone is really, really good at model railroading, when they're good at operations, when they're good at scenery, and they share those tips and tricks, it's not a competition of like, this is my secret. We all share our tips and tricks, and that's one of the great things that makes this more of a positive community. But that being said, there are plenty of negative people out there. There are people that are just sometimes overly sticklers. I have been criticized for my wiring techniques, which I know are not great. My woodworking, my track selection, my locomotive selection, my rolling stock selection, my operations, I've had some people say that I'm an idiot. I will tell you right now, you're going to probably get that if your YouTube channel grows to a decent size. I started getting that when I had about 500 or 600 subscribers. And people I don't know what makes them mean. I don't really care. It used to sting more when someone would do it, and now I just laugh at it. I'm like, oh, who peed in your Wheaties this morning? And then I just laugh it off. I do love constructive criticism, and I think the vast majority of criticism that I do get is constructive. Of like, hey, have you tried this? This is a better way to do this. And I love that because I'll implement that. And I've done several videos that say, hey, this person said to do this. Now, this is how this works. But negativity is something you're going to run into as your channel grows, and you just got to deal with it. My best advice is just to laugh it off, because what are you going to do? Some people are just going to be mean. I'd say the biggest challenge, though, if we're talking about YouTube, is just being busy. I mean, you guys know that I'm a father of twin babies. I have a full-time job. My wife has a full-time job. And we're just, running around like crazy. And I've turned this into my escape and being able to do this. And it's just something I can do without thinking. Now, that might change a little bit as my kids get older. I would actually like to get them involved with the channel a little bit so you guys can see them a little bit more. Right now, they don't do... They're babies. They're a lot of fun, and I spend a lot of time with them. But they can't really do much on the channel right now other than sit there and look like the beautiful babies that there are. But as they get older, and I'm going to talk about that here in a minute, I do kind of want to get them more involved with the channel. But being busy and trying to keep up the YouTube channel is tough. I've got a balance worked out, but it is tough. So now I want to talk about the future of the channel, where I'm going to go and what I'm thinking about doing and all this kind of stuff, because I think pretty much this entire time I'm doing this channel, I've never finished a layout because I was going to finish my last one, but we ended up having to move. But I'm looking forward to getting this layout functionally complete. I've got a couple more phases that I want to do, but it's going to be functionally complete here, hopefully in the next few months. But that means I'm going to have to do a bit of a shift in what my projects are. The really big thing that I've gotten into as a sub-hobby of model railroading is 3D printing. And I know there's a lot of you that 3D print as well. And it has been just one of the coolest little things. I think that they're the most fascinating little devices. I own 2 3D printers now. One you can see right here is a resin 3D printer. It's an Anycubic Photon. And then I have another one right off the screen, which is a Flashforge Finder. That was my first one, and I still have it, and it still works really, really well. But I've learned a lot, 3D printing. I've learned how to take better care of filaments and resins and doing the prints properly and cleaning properly. But one thing I'm really starting to get good at is actually, this is a resin printed, 3D printed building right here. And I've got brick detail. I've got all sorts of different things you can see. And it was printed all as one piece, which is one thing I love about 3D printing. Still working out some prototypes that I'm designing. I did design this from scratch too. I'm also working with the filament 3D printer, which is the one that you see with the little tube that goes in and oozes out and does little layers. And working on potentially building kits and seeing if anybody would like those. Being able to do custom 3D builds for people, or 3D prints for people rather. But you can see I'm just doing little kits. I'm thinking about doing, especially like modern buildings and things like that. Things you don't see a lot of in the various scales. I know a lot of you have also asked me about 3D printing rolling stock. I have been trying to, with limited success. 3D printing rolling stock and getting it right is something that is very difficult. This is a little hopper car. I've not painted it or anything, but they're very delicate. I still have yet to get one out that I didn't partially break a piece when I was stripping off the supports. But that's a 3D printed hopper car. This one turned out a little bit better. I think I actually still have a few supports in it, but this is a 3D printed pellet hopper car. But still not where I want it. And I don't know if this is going to last for a while. I've tried a few things, but 3D printing is something that is just, it's something that I really am finding that I enjoy, and doing these models and everything. And I'm considering, maybe starting a little Etsy store that I sell my 3D printed parts on, and offering, as I said, custom 3D prints for people that need them, that don't have a printer, just pay me for materials and a little bit extra, and doing that. And then, of course, showcasing the projects as well. But 3D printing is something that I've come to love with model railroading. It allows for a lot of customization. You've seen me do a lot of 3D printing here. Another big thing that I'm considering is micro layouts. One project that I've always wanted to try, and I've always called it MRR1. MRR1 is a railroad that anyone can build and anyone can have fun with, and you can have it in nearly any space that's small enough to fit. And it's something that I've always wanted to do, just to increase the accessibility of model railroading, to make it fun for the beginner and have enough function to be able to grow and change as you advance. So MRR1 is a project idea that I have had for a long time, and I'm considering it. Let's see here, what else? Another thing that you heard me talk about, getting my children more involved with the channel, which is still probably a year or two down the road, but one thing I'm considering, and I had one as a kid, my dad and I built it, a garden railroad. And building a garden railroad would be one of those things that I would absolutely love to do with my kids. I'm not building a big one, but just an absolutely fun project. So I definitely would take you guys along for that journey. of building a garden railroad. And then last but not least, probably a few new Arduino projects as I figure them out, but a lot of tweaking and honing of Arduino projects. I'm trying to figure out a lot of different things that I can do, such as integrating my Arduino projects onto single PCB boards, so that it'd be something that I could potentially sell to you guys. I have seen many comments about people that think it's neat, but they don't have the expertise to put it all together. And I've been thinking for a long time how to solve that for you guys. And I think that figuring out how to custom print boards, PCB boards, with everything already hooked up that you literally just have to hook the wires up to, that would be one thing that I'd love to do. I do not know how to make PCB boards. I've been trying to figure it out. If you do PCB boards, or you have some information on how to make custom PCB boards and how to manufacture them, because I'm not going to do them here. I want me to send a schematic to somewhere and then they make it for me. Leave a comment, please, because I'm really trying to figure that out. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to answer a few questions. First one is from Richard Kennedy. Have you had any luck with Arduino application for slow motion motors? I've done some work with some stepper motors and some servo motors, but still kind of just messing around with it a little bit. And turning into Arduino's control with cab systems. Haven't really looked into that, but definitely would be interested in looking into that. Let's see here. Alan Barnes says, I want to see how to install DCC into a Bachmann F9. They're made in the late 80s, early 90s. I have been considering buying some cheap locomotives and installing, figuring out how to install DCC into them. So that may be part of that as well. And then last but not least, Jay Van Amb. Can we see videos of your wife and the DIY babies? Well, I don't have a video, but I have a lovely picture of my wonderful wife and my 2 children. So there you go. Well, that's it for this. Thank you guys for 100 episodes. It's been an amazing journey. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that bell icon so that you don't miss any updates like this video. Until next time, I'm Jimmy from the DIY and Digital. Happy railroading!